And on this World Autism Awareness Day, an expert sheds light on why reported cases are up nationally. It's all ahead on NJ Today.
Major funding for NJ Today provided in part by New Jersey manufacturers, auto insurance, and more for New Jersey Business and Industry Association members and their employees. New Jersey Association of Realtors, the voice for real estate in New Jersey. More information is online at njar.com. Verizon, communication solutions designed for the people and businesses of New Jersey. The members of the New Jersey Education Association, making public schools great for every child. The Star Ledger and NJ.com. And by PSE&G, serving customers, strengthening the business community, and investing in New Jersey's future. Now stay tuned for NJ Today. From the production studios of Montclair State University, this is NJ Today with Mike Schneider.
Hello and welcome to NJ Today. I'm Desiree Taylor. Mike Schneider is off. The race is on, the gubernatorial primary race, that is, now that several candidates have filed to run. This means that Governor Chris Christie and Democratic candidate Senator Barbara Buono will both be challenged by lesser-known candidates in the June primary. Meanwhile, Republicans are setting the stage for a real fight to try to pick up seats in the Senate. Our chief political correspondent, Michael Aaron, has the story.
Senate Minority Leader Tom Kean has a plan to win back the majority for the first time in a decade. In this internal memo to his Senate colleagues, he lays out what he calls the recipe for a Republican wave: attract the best candidates, raise more money than the Democrats, and ride Chris Christie's coattails. It's happened before.
Look at 85. It's the exact same dynamic that existed when my father ran for re-election. An extraordinarily popular governor who focused on real solutions, running against a status quo that tried to block that type of affordability for the people of the state of New Jersey.
A pickup of 5 seats in the 40-member Senate would win back the majority and make Kean Senate president. His plan got a boost yesterday when former State Senator Peter Inverso declared he's running for his old seat. We called Inverso for an interview. A spokesman said it's too early and there will be a formal campaign kickoff in a few weeks. His former chief of staff, Steve Cook, who will run for the assembly on Inverso's ticket, said the 74-year-old Inverso talked to a lot of people.
And the feedback that he received was that there definitely are some issues out there that he could make a difference on. Reform being a huge issue.
Democratic Senator Linda Greenstein holds the seat now and is gearing for a fight.
It's going to be a spirited race. We're looking forward to it. Frankly, I'm used to that, and I'm not sure I'd be able to do it any other way.
After doing the polling in Hamilton, what he found is that the voters definitely remember him and respect him for the work that he's done.
The district has changed quite a bit since the times when Inverso ran. He last ran about 10 years ago, which is a very long time.
Kean, who recruited Inverso and had lunch with him today, says the Republican message this year will be reform.
People are tired of the status quo. They want progress and not gridlock. And people who are standing in the way of real reform and real affordability and opportunity for the state of New Jersey are going to get washed away in the wave election this year.
Do you want to be Senate president?
Yes.
Turnout in the last legislative election was 27%. In a gubernatorial year, that's expected to rise to about 47%. And it's that swath of extra voters Senate Republicans think could carry them to victory alongside Chris Christie. For NJ Today, I'm Michael Aaron at the State House.
The Florida doctor at the center of controversy for his donations to the campaign of Senator Bob Menendez has denied that he's done anything wrong. Salomon Melgen told Bloomberg News that none of his companies has benefited from his relationship with the senator. The Washington Post has reported that a grand jury is looking into whether Menendez improperly assisted several companies in which Melgen was a partner. Melgen said that he and Senator Menendez are, quote, like brothers, but have not spoken since the controversy broke. Word from North Korea is that it is increasing production of nuclear weapons material, the latest in its war of words with Washington. With the third largest Korean population in the country, a lot of people here in New Jersey have a very personal stake in how this face-off turns out. We sent David Cruz to hear their concerns.
Every day brings more bellicose rhetoric from North Korea. While the United Nations has called on the country to stand down from its threatening posture, the North Koreans say the Americans are the provocateurs. In Palisades Park, where the country's largest concentration of Korean Americans live, the general response seems to be, "This again?" Andrew Kim works here as an insurance agent. He believes that once the current rhetoric loses its heat, the North Koreans will actually open up.
I believe there will be a change. They can't be isolated this long. And right now they're trying to threaten a little harder than before. But look around the world. Any countries threatening and not cooperating with the world, the order, they're going to be crumpled eventually.
Korean American community activist Michael Yoon says he doesn't believe the North Koreans are capable of pulling off the kind of military strike they threaten. Still, he says this latest tension follows a pattern he's seen his whole life, with one major exception.
Years ago, when the North Korea threatened the South Korea and or United States, those days when North Korea has no nuclear missile. But today, seems like their nuclear missiles were, in their hand. So they're a really different situation.
John Chang has seen the threat from North Korea up close as an officer in the South Korean Navy. He says he believes the current situation presents an opportunity.
If you cannot destroy Kim's family, government, then we have to talk and then make a friend. And also, rather than they drop the bombing in the North Korea, I hopefully drop the McDonald's and the Coca-Cola. Then it's very, very powerful in the North Korea going to be changing,
The call and response of this conflict has been a part of everyday life for Korean Americans going on 3 generations now. No one we spoke to today said they expect any serious military conflict, but as one person put it, every day we spend talking about war is one less day spent talking about peace. In Palisades Park, I'm David Cruz, NJ Today.
The Press of Atlantic City laid off 26 workers today. The reduction comes as company officials prepare to sell the newspaper and related businesses. 13 vacant positions also will not be filled, bringing the total reduction to about 15%. Company officials say the layoffs are the only way to reduce costs. Workers who lost their jobs will be given severance packages, counseling, and outplacement assistance. 2 municipalities that merged into one get their first taste of savings. That tops tonight's Garden State Express. Our first stop is Princeton, where the consolidated town's first budget has been unveiled, and it's $3 million less than last year's combined spending plans for the borough and township. Residents could see a tax rate decrease of nearly 1%. By consolidating the police force and having one council, the town has saved more than $1 million. Our next stop is Middle Township, where motorists can expect detours due to work on the Garden State Parkway. Over the next several weeks, lane closures and diversions are expected around the Shell Bay intersection and farther north as crews prepare to remove the only traffic lights remaining on the parkway. The work is part of a 2-year project to build overpasses on the parkway. And our final stop is Cherry Hill, where the Woodcrest Country Club is on the auction block. The private facility, which includes an 18-hole golf course and other amenities, filed for bankruptcy protection and owes more than $100,000 in property taxes. Township officials have also requested to include Woodcrest in an upcoming tax sale. And that's your Garden State Express for Tuesday, April 2nd. Boardwalk strollers should have plenty of options this summer. An Associated Press survey of the Jersey Shore shows all but 3 beach communities will have their boardwalks open by Memorial Day. And even Long Branch, Seaside Heights, and Seagirt will have substantial portions ready. Our Lauren Wonko went to Belmar to see how their reconstruction is going.
With each and every day, Belmar's new boardwalk is pieced together, plank by plank. 100,000 square feet of decking is already in place. That's over half the boardwalk. Local officials are confident the project will wrap up by April 30th.
After that, we're going to have a few weeks where we got to finish off some parts of the boardwalk, put in the bathrooms, put in the concession trailers. So that'll take us to just about Memorial Day weekend.
52 contractors work 10-hour days. 6 days a week, rain or shine. Mother Nature has become their greatest challenge.
It's been pretty brutal, actually. We worked through all the 2 nor'easters, getting sandblasted every day, 10-degree weather. These guys really stuck it out, and they got it done.
Sandy destroyed Belmar's entire 1.3-mile stretch of boardwalk. Local Matthew Barrett lives across the street from the ocean and watches as contractors bring back what he calls a sense of normalcy.
Just the boardwalk itself, you know, would be great to see it completed, and seeing people walking their dogs or just, you know, in general going up and down Ocean Avenue, because you don't see the traffic like you had seen in the hall for quite a while now.
Residents aren't the only folks in town who are relieved construction on Belmar's new boardwalk is well underway. There are about 140 businesses in this seaside community who depend on a strong summer tourism season. Like Taylor Hardware, manager Stephen Fry says the boardwalk is a necessity.
Having that boardwalk up and running is absolutely what we need. You know, we depend on the boardwalk, we depend on you know, the local economy to keep us going. And summer is a huge part of our business as a whole.
It's something that's beyond just an economical importance. It's also a very emotional attachment for people who live here, but also people who come here.
And beach badge sales prove people are coming back to Belmar this summer. Sales are up 40% from the same time last year.
Well, it's amazing to think that we don't have a real beach. Our boardwalk's still being constructed, but people want to be part of this story.
In Belmar, I'm Lauren Wonko for NJ Today.
It's been a hot topic nationally since a well-tanned Nutley woman was accused of bringing her 5-year-old daughter into a tanning booth last year. Now, a new law signed by Governor Christie bars anyone under 17 from using a commercial tanning bed. But anyone 14 years of age or older is permitted to spray tan. Bill sponsors say the spray doesn't expose teens to UV rays, unlike a tanning bed. Facilities that violate the law face penalties of up to $2,000 for each offense. Mayors from across the country have joined forces to push for stricter gun laws. Among them is Irvington Mayor Wayne Smith. He joins me now to discuss this issue. Mayor, great to have you here.
I'm delighted to be here, Desiree.
First, tell me about the mission of this organization. It includes about 900 mayors, is that correct?
900 mayors, 45 states, 1.4 million grassroots supporters around the country, and led by Mayor Bloomberg of New York. And we've been on the ground trying to affect federal legislation. Today we were working on Senate Bill 649, which requires any purchaser of a weapon have a background check, and that could be criminal and maybe even mental health. So we were on the phones today lobbying our congressional representatives in all those 45 states. About 40 congressional districts and 20 states, we have a clear majority from some recent polling the mayors have done. And so we think we're on the right side of the issue in this regard. We have to do something in this seminal moment to lessen people's availability to weapons that could be used for a crime. We're not trying to infringe on the Second Amendment, but we do want to do something about banning assault weapons and also reducing high-capacity magazines on certain guns.
Now, speaking assault weapons, the president is still pushing for a ban, Vice President Joe Biden, but it's not clear their support among federal lawmakers.
Well, you know, we're pushing. We have a broad base, 45 states where we touch people. We got 900 mayors on the ground doing this cold grassroots piece. So we think we're going to move the dime. We're going to keep the pressure on. We had people from all over the country calling Capitol Hill today. So you know, a lot of times there's no support for something. It's just like the recent immigration bill, and then all of a sudden you got something moving. And so we're going to keep the pressure on.
Well, I understand your group has a national campaign ad running, but also the NRA just today is announcing it wants to recommend that an armed guard, that someone be trained, at least one school official, to be trained to hold a firearm. Yeah.
The better thing, if you were going to do anything around school, was bring the Cops in Schools program back that made schools safer. It was actually a Bush initiative, and so if there was some political will, maybe we could bring something like that back. Because then trained law enforcement officers would be in school. That would be the safer for everybody. But we'll see what this entails. 74% of NRA members think we're right about this stuff.
Okay, we'll have to see about that one. Another question, let's talk about illegal weapons. Is that the real concern in most communities? or at least some urban communities that have a high crime rate?
Yeah, you have a couple of things going. A lot of the background checks are critically important so that the guns don't fall in the wrong hands. So we don't want to infringe on people's right to do hunting and to own a weapon, but we do want to make sure that weapons don't fall in the wrong hands. So we're doing everything on the local level to do everything to keep illegal guns from surfacing, and the federal government has to do their share, state government has to do their share.
And are gun buybacks a part of this or not? They're taking very few
in New
off,
Jersey,
right?
But they do. And I will tell you, one of the things about gun buybacks, if you have a gun in the house and there's a domestic dispute, a lot of fatalities happen in that kind of an instance. So we can get those guns out of people's hands that somebody bought many years ago and they know it's in the house, or when an argument happens among friends and there's a gun available. So those kinds of things do help, so.
I want to get to another point very quickly before we wrap up, and that is, in your community, have you seen a reduction in gun violence? If so, why? Is this
Absolutely. And I have to tell you, it's been aggressive police leadership and aggressive police strategy. We just hired additional 19 cops that are going into the academy. So we see it as we see our reduction based on our enhanced policing and doing some good things. So our violent crime is significantly down in the city, and over the last 3 years, it's been a trend that continues, and so we hope that that's going to continue.
Okay, so a model for other communities to follow?
Absolutely.
Technology helps, everything helps?
Yep, we have to come back and talk about it.
Okay. Mayor Smith, we thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
The United Nations has declared today World Autism Awareness Day. This Awareness Day comes not long after the release of a federal government study that shows a significant increase in the prevalence of autism, bringing the rest of the nation pretty much in line with what New Jersey has been reporting for years. What does that mean? Joining me now with the answer is Jill Harris, Coordinator of Autism Services at Children's Specialized Hospital in Mountainside. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
All right, I want to talk about this government study. It seems like a significant increase in autism. Now, it was a phone survey as well, right? So tell me your thoughts about this.
Well, it's interesting because, as you said, that the findings of this phone survey were that about 1 out of 50 children have been diagnosed at some point as having an autism spectrum disorder, and that is much more consistent with New Jersey's most recent prevalence rates. But it is still much higher than what had been shown in the past and in other states. I think one difference is the way that the information was collected. This recent study was based on phone surveys, and previous Centers for Disease Control prevalence rates were based on review of either a combination of school records and health records, or just the health records.
So what does this mean for New Jersey, though? Because for years, the thought was either New Jersey was just reporting more cases, better diagnosing it better, or if there was just a difference here compared to other states.
Right. Well, I think it confirms what we really suspected, which is that that probably throughout all of the states and probably throughout other countries as well, for the prevalence rate is probably equal. So it was always kind of a little confusing about why it was higher in New Jersey. I mean, we thought that possibly it was because there might be increased awareness in New Jersey or more places where you can get a diagnosis. But now it's suggesting that maybe that the prevalence is high nationwide and worldwide.
What about racial disparities? Do they exist in New Jersey?
That is a really good question. People feel as though it's equal prevalence across all racial, ethnic, geographic groups. That it's all, right, exactly, that it's all equal. However, the statistics show that there are disparities in terms of accessing diagnosis and accessing services. And that's something that at Children's Specialized Hospital we put a lot of emphasis in terms of looking at these traditionally underserved groups and seeing if we can improve access to services for this population.
I've heard one lawmaker consider the idea of maybe educators could play a role in helping to diagnose autism. Do you agree with this?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You ask such great questions. Because one of the things that we've looked at is going into daycares or preschools, places where a lot of kids spend a lot of their time, and trying to educate the people who are working with those kids about what the early signs are for autism, what the red flags are, so that if we could screen the kids where they are, in the community where they are, we think that we would be able to identify those kids who need services earlier and hook them up with effective services quicker.
Speaking of services, there is some concern how sequestration could impact services. How do we provide enough services now? Is there funding for it, and is this a concern?
It is always a concern. While I think that there definitely is much more awareness about autism and what services are needed, and there has been an increase in services, there certainly are many more services needed. Even here in New Jersey, where there is legislation for some insurance companies to cover applied behavioral analysis or ABA services, for example. Not all insurances cover that, and indeed state Medicaid does not cover it. So when you ask if there are enough services, there aren't enough services, definitely not for adults and people as they age with autism, but also some of the services that are known to be highly effective don't always have a payment source to cover the services.
And certainly for adults with autism, are the services there for them or not?
No, not really. So if you look at what people need, I mean, they need hopefully meaningful employment. They need a safe place to live. They need social opportunities, and that's throughout the age span. And no, there definitely are not adequate services for adults.
Okay. Well, we will continue to follow this issue, and we thank you so much for your insight.
Thank you very much for having me.
From the Supreme Court to the State House, the debate over gay marriage continues to challenge lawmakers and gay rights advocates. Leading the push for same-sex marriage in New Jersey has been Garden State Equality. Its new executive director, Troy Stevenson, joins me now to talk about this and other issues. Thanks for joining us, Troy.
Thanks, Desiree.
All right, so the Supreme Court heard oral arguments last week. There seems to be growing public support for gay marriage. Are you optimistic or not?
Very optimistic. I think in the two cases, I think the DOMA case, I think it will be overturned. I think there's a lot of consensus around that. We are also optimistic in the Prop 8 case. There's a lot of different ways it could go, but we issued an amicus brief, as did the President's administration, saying that states like New Jersey that do have some sort of recognition should be given full marriage equality, and so there's the potential that that could happen through the Prop 8 or through the Prop 8 case.
Okay, and what about here in New Jersey? Certainly, there's been efforts by the Democrats to push for gay marriage. I believe Senate President Stephen Sweeney wants to try to override Governor Christie's veto.
Absolutely, we passed marriage equality through both houses of the New Jersey legislature last year. We're working hard to override the governor's veto as quickly as possible. We've gotten a lot more legislators that have come on board. I think they'll be talking about that a lot more in the weeks and months to come. So we're very optimistic that that can happen this year.
Also, the ACLU is pushing this issue?
Absolutely. We've joined forces with the ACLU. They're great allies on this, and we're excited to work with them.
Let's talk about sexual conversion therapy. First, explain what it is, because there's a bill before the legislature.
They call it conversion therapy or reparative therapy or even homosexual cure therapy, which is offensive on many levels. But what it is, it's an effort to change one's sexual orientation. It's an effort to change something immutable about a person, the way they're born, and turn them into somebody that somebody else, whether it's a doctor or their parents, want them to be. It's abusive, it's horrible. The young people that have survived this, they're 8 times more likely to commit suicide, 6 times more likely to suffer from extreme depression. I mean, it's just a horrible practice, and we hope to end it as quickly as possible here in New Jersey.
Is it rampant?
Unfortunately, we don't know exactly how rampant it is. It's an underground practice. A lot of doctors don't talk about what they're doing, but we do know it is happening. We know it happens way too often, and we know the damage that comes out of it.
What do you expect the outcome of this bill? I know Senator Barbara Brono, a Democratic gubernatorial candidate, she was talking about it on MSNBC today. Governor Christie has expressed some concerns about it. What do you think it will happen?
Governor Christie has said he doesn't believe in this practice. He's yet to commit one way or the other to how he will vote on the bill, or whether or not he'll sign the bill. We believe he will. We hope he will. We believe it'll pass both houses of the legislature. It just went through the Senate Health Committee with a 7-to-1 vote, which was very, very good news. We believe it's on track, and it won't be long.
Okay. Garden State Equality has also led the effort when it comes to anti-bullying.
Absolutely.
Yes, New Jersey has the strongest laws in the nation. Tell me about that.
The strongest anti-bullying law in the country. In 2011, we led the effort to pass this law. It is helping thousands of kids every day throughout the state. It needs to be better funded, and a lot of things need to happen, but it is the best law. It's a law that we need to protect and make sure that these kids continue to have the protections offered by it.
And is it making a difference?
It absolutely is. It's making a difference to thousands of students every day.
Troy, we thank you so much for your time.
Thank you so much.
In business news, Electronics Expo has filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy protection, but it plans to stay open during restructuring. The Wayne-based company split off from 6th Avenue Electronics and once had 8 stores. Now it has 2 left, one in Wayne, the other in Union. Well, that's it for today. Tomorrow, Attorney General Jeff Chiesa on fantasy sports tournament rules and other law enforcement issues. Congressman Frank Pallone on what projects will be hurt by sequestration and the latest on Sandy aid, plus the battle over easements and dunes at the shore. I'm Desiree Taylor in for Mike Schneider. Have a good night.
New Jersey's facing tough times, but teachers are problem solvers. So we work hard to help our students succeed. When my students score well on the AP exam, I know that I've made a difference. This year, more students took advanced placement classes than ever before. And New Jersey's AP test scores are the best in the nation. Even in these tough times, our students are thriving, and that makes me proud to be a teacher in New Jersey's public schools.
Next on NJTV, BBC World News.
The iconic Metropolitan Museum of Art plays host to Judy Collins.
This is, by the way, my 50th year doing this.
In a career-spanning musical voyage. Joined by friends Ani DeFranco, Sean Colvin, and Jimmy Webb. Celebrate the timeless sound of a true folk legend.
Tonight at 8 on NJTV.